we are terrible at it, but it is something that we have to. We're the kind of people that we need it on the calendar, essentially, if it's going to happen, or even if it's not going to happen, but like as a reminder. So there are nights where, so a lot of times we're just barely winding down at 10 o'clock, just based on the day. We did something globally this week where we had a meeting at 9 o'clock at night on Zoom, because that was when it was tomorrow. So nights that we actually turn things off and start to wind down, we feel really good. And I think that's the reality, is that it's like, okay, this was a discipline to get ourselves quiet so we can get a good night's sleep, because we don't know if there's going to be an interruption with a medical call or a fire call or whatever. And, trying to find new ways to put up boundaries around that, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Thriving in Tandem. It's a podcast for you, the married entrepreneur that wants to win in business and marriage at the same time.
Welcome to Thriving in Tandem.
Hey, welcome back to the Thriving in Tandem podcast.
Hi, Tandem family.
And this is our special monthly episode where we have a live studio audience. Right, honey?
Yes, it's like TV.
And so, but we have today's special guest, honey. Guess who we have?
Who do we have?
But you can see on the screen.
I know.
Right? I know. Just making it sound, trying to build suspense, right?
Jim and Martha.
So Jim and Martha, so they were with us. This is their second time with us on the podcast, and they were with us in episode 83. This is going to be episode 223, I believe, and so it's been a while.
Right? I have a funny story.
What's that?
So the first time I think we were on their podcast,
I worked for him.
Yes, thank you. They were in separate rooms because I think the story was one was too loud, so the other one needed their own room. And so now we have them on our podcast again. But you probably can't see, they are in separate rooms now again.
On YouTube. Yeah.
For YouTube people.
That was a technology issue this time.
So I had to chuckle at that.
We were fighting Zoom today.
We had technology issues today. So anyways, so we're privileged to have Jim and Martha back. I mean, today's episodes are going to be focused around teamwork, because let me tell you, with what they have going on, they can definitely teach us, because they're still alive. They love each other. And so they're entrepreneurs. Essentially, they're real estate developers, because they're buying up Marionville, Missouri.
Like the whole town.
Right. We got to visit them a few months ago and got to see the town and get to see their home, the parents' home, the properties they're building and rehabbing. I mean, bringing the town back to life. And that's just an amazing
That itself is a lot, though.
And it's a huge undertaking, because they're doing a lot of the work themselves. I see pictures of Martha on scaffolds.
Oh yeah, she's way up there painting overhead. I'm like, oh my God.
And I'm freaking out, going, what is she doing up there?
And Jim keeps telling her, Martha.
Yeah, no, move over there. You missed the spot. Anyways, so they're doing that. They've got their show, I Work for Him, that we've been on their podcast. And then they take care of their Jim's parents that live like literally a stone's throw. And Jim volunteered to be the chaplain for the fire department. And so because that wasn't enough work, he figured he'd be the volunteer firefighter as well.
Yeah, there you go. This spare time.
Yes. So if he gets hurt on the job, I guess he chaplains himself. Is that, I don't know. Anyways, what else is going on?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask.
Martha's running the annual festival in our town, Apple Fest, which is on the 19th and 20th of September. She's in charge of that committee.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm part of the Lions Club in town.
Oh, that's right.
Covers it. I teach Sunday school once in a while.
Well,
Old Ministerial Alliance.
yeah, and soon he'll be running for mayor.
Yes.
No, so far Martha has said no. I don't get to run.
Yeah, but if
We do have till the 31st. Yeah, that's right. We do have till the 31st of December to make that decision.
Yeah, so anyways, I think that's an intro in itself, right? And so they're an amazing couple, and so we really want to dig in and say, okay, how did you do it? How are you doing it? And what can we learn? And then what's going on in your life right now? So Jim and Martha, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you.
Robert and Katie. It's good to be
Thank you, guys.
Yes, we do. You don't want to tell everybody where you got that fudge when you came to Missouri?
I will put it in the show notes. I'll put it in the chat.
In the chat. Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, because I thought it was a joke. I saw the billboard for the name of the factory, and I was like, that's got to be a joke. And then Jim goes, "Oh, you got to stop here."
Of course,
He texts us on our way to
he
go
wanted
see
to
this.
finish what he was
And he
wanting.
said, "Oh, you got to stop here." And I said, "Oh, this is a real place." I thought it was a joke. And so, anyways, and actually they have really good fudge. So
Marketing at its finest, getting you off the highway.
And our way back from Cincinnati, we actually went too and got some more fudge.
That's
My
right.
parents absolutely loved that.
So Jim and Martha,
Parents.
besides what we just
Jim
talked
loves
about, what is new in your life?
Oh, what is new? Wow.
We've
that's-
started saying no. What's new is the Economic Development Committee that I've been leading for the last year is now retired temporarily in Marionville. In lieu of, in the future, we'll probably set that up as an outside organization. So we've actually eliminated something off of the list for a few
good.
months.
Okay,
I'll tell you what's new is that even in amongst of all the craziness, because it ebbs and flows, the craziness, that we've really been trying to be very much more intentional on our quiet time and just getting time together. Yesterday was a little rough, but we're just
we
working.
all have rough days, right?
Yeah, we do. But we've had to really, it's like you want to work out, try to work into our schedule time together to be together. Sunday morning, instead of going to local church, we went to church online so we could be together quietly in the same room because we just need some of that time. Because it's been a crazy time, and we can't. None of the stuff on our list right now can drop off. We're hoping and praying towards it. But what's new for us is that the Lord has been speaking into us for 2.5 years. You need to learn to abide with me. You need to learn to be quiet with me. Which for the two of us, quiet, sit still, listen. Those are skills we're working on. And that is something that but the Lord from so many places. So what's new with us is we're really, really, really working on that.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that because you guys have a lot going on. So tell us, like, what are you doing? What are the steps are you taking or trying to abide by to be able to have that quiet time? Because there's stuff pulling at you all the time. I mean, literally, some of the stuff, there could be emergencies, between your parents and obviously the fire department and just those kind of things. Stuff can just happen, right? So there's a lot of things that are outside of your control as well. So what are you doing to make sure you carve out that time?
Well, I think a couple of things. And honestly, it's a lot of trial and error, and we have not perfected this. We are far from perfect and constantly trying new things. I put on our calendar several months ago an 8:30 p.m. start winding down reminder because that is something we need. Because a lot of times,
We've done horrible at it.
yeah, we are terrible at it, but it is something that we have to. We're the kind of people that we need it on the calendar, essentially, if it's going to happen, or even if it's not going to happen, but as a reminder. So there are nights so a lot of times we're just barely winding down at 10 o'clock, just based on the day. We did something globally this week where we had a meeting at 9 o'clock at night on Zoom because that was when it was tomorrow somewhere else, And so the nights that we actually turn things off and start to wind down, we feel really good, and I think that's the reality is that it's like, okay, this was a discipline to get ourselves quiet so we can get a good night's sleep because we don't know if there's going to be an interruption with a medical call or a fire call or whatever. And, trying to find new ways to put up boundaries around that because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I guess that's just one of them. And then truly deciding and saying, today, this is what we're going to do. We had construction on our calendar for this morning, and Jim had to say, well, first of all, I will tell you this, putting things on the calendar in general has helped us to navigate, the juggle, but then also to be able to say, we're not going to do that this morning because we have other things that are a bigger priority.
But I want to add, so here's what we do. We bought the Experiencing God Daily Devotional. And so we do that probably 4 or 5 times a week. But one of the things that never misses is we never start the day without praying together, and we never end the day without praying together.
Yeah.
Do we always get to read our Bibles in the same room? No. Do we get to do our devotions always? No. I mean, literally, last week, so from the end of July, really the last week of July, we had 2 house fires at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
And then a car wreck one night that was a head-on collision that took me to almost 8 o'clock at night. So you don't know what's going to interrupt you. And then we had a whole week of midnight medical calls. Most of the time, the medical calls are before 11 o'clock at night and after 7 o'clock in the morning, because that's when people are going to bed and that's when people are getting up. And they realize, hey, things aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
But so we don't, those things are tough. And what we found is that if I'm working a house fire in the morning, I need to go home and go back to bed if I got up early in the morning to do that, because I was tired, because I got really cranky last Thursday night. And I had very little patience with my parents, which that was not good. It just was very unhealthy. So, because then I went and worked a full day. But we're learning that we're not teenagers anymore. We run pretty much like teenagers, but we make sure that we never miss the prayer time. Never miss the prayer time. Not since we started dating when we were 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so that's a great example, because you book in the day, which is amazing, right? You book in a day with God, and the two of you connecting. And I think I've shared with this on this call, right? There is actually research from the Family Marriage Council that says that the couples that pray daily together, not just mealtime prayer, right? The prayer like Jim and Martha are talking about and what we do together in the morning, the divorce rate is less than a fraction of 1%, basically. And that's because when you think about it, and even psychologists will say the same thing, when you're connecting and affirming each other and saying just positive things, naturally the connection and intimacy just is there, and you can't criticize somebody and praise somebody at the same time, right? And then of course, then when you bring God into the center of the marriage where he should be, that's just a whole nother level of just connection and intimacy. So thank you for sharing that. So yeah, not perfect. Neither of us are perfect in some of these things, but yes, calendars, absolutely got to plan our weekly meetings and those things,
Or date
prayer
nights.
times, or date nights, or sometimes impromptu like we had one last night.
But in these things you're speaking of, weekly meetings, yeah, that doesn't happen. We talk when we're getting into bed. We usually talk about the next day. We don't do weekly meetings. We probably should do weekly meetings, but we don't. But everything's on our calendar. But the date nights, that's a struggle, because right now where our parents are at, if we're gone out of town and they don't have care anymore, that is usually when trouble happens. The last we went out for our anniversary, and we were only 15 miles away, and literally we couldn't even enjoy a full 2-hour meal because something came up.
Oh.
So that's kind of the date night thing's been a struggle. And we live near Branson. We're an hour from Branson, Missouri, where we would love to go often. And so that's been a struggle for us. We've been doing meals. There's a couple of restaurants in town. We don't get a lot of date nights. Date nights would be like a binge on Prime Video. That might be one of those things.
Well, that's why I think sometimes you just got to create a date night. Doesn't have to be what we think it is, right? We had a couple.
We'd like to get out of town, though, Robert. We'd like to.
I get you.
No, you're exactly right. And let me just interject there, because sometimes it's just 10 minutes sitting on the front porch. Right now, it's a season we're in, and so sometimes it's just sitting, not having anything, electronic around us, and being quiet, talking to each other, just digesting, listening to the locust, because it's not quiet, it's noisy right now, right?
Cicadas are so loud.
The locust.
It was like,
I thought you were talking about a band.
Yeah, no.
they're a bug band. It's a bug band.
So
They're like 100 decibels.
yeah, I heard they're pretty loud. I mean,
They are unbelievable. You've heard. They don't have those in California?
No, not like that.
Well, if you ever move anywhere else, you'll find them there. But yeah, so we do. We finished that front porch off so we could sit on there and just get that time at the end of the day.
Yeah, because we had a couple that was on our podcast years ago, and they said what they'll do is they'll tell the kids, just be calm for 1 hour. Give mommy and dad an hour. They order takeout. They get in the car. They pull out into the driveway, and they eat in their car. And that is their date night. That's it.
That's good.
So-
You know what? You do what you got to do, and in every season it's a little bit different. And be grateful for what you do get, but be intentional. And that is a constant reminder. I just want to one other thing that I want to go back to on the prayer thing is yes, we bookend our day in prayer, but I will tell you there are many times when we stop and pray during the day in the midst of something. And I know that you guys focus a lot on, working together and what does that look like and how do you manage that together in a marriage? And for us, a lot of it is being honest enough to say, I just need prayer right now. Like I can't, we're having trouble getting on the Zoom, like it's a Zoom app thing that wasn't just a bad link or whatever. And, we stopped and prayed. It's like, Lord, show us the way because this is, we can't figure this out on our own right now. So we do a lot of that. And that has strengthened us and allowed us to keep our reliance on the Lord, not each other.
Yeah, and I would say we had a couple of real earth-shattering moments in our marriage. One of them was Crown Financial Ministries, 1999, learning the biblical principles of finance and understanding that we were stewards, not owners, and making the commitment to go debt-free. In 1999, the Lord called us to get debt-free because we learned then that if we had debt, then if God ever asked us to do something, we could use possibly debt as an excuse to say, no, sorry, we can't do that. And literally in 1999, we worked on getting debt free. We got debt free. And when the Lord told us to do our work for him in 2013, we didn't have debt to get in the way of saying, sorry, Lord, we really can't go work for free anywhere. But we were able to do that. So Crown Financial Ministries eliminated the money arguments in our marriage. We were already pretty good with money. And we've always been pretty good managing money, always been great tithers, great generosity givers, but that was an earth-shattering moment. Love and Respect Conference, 2008, when we learned that one of the biggest triggers for frustration and anger in me was when I felt disrespected, but yet I couldn't put a word for it. I couldn't put a word to it. And when we learned that that was what was triggering, when I felt like Martha was disrespecting me. Now, anybody that knows Martha knows that she's never disrespectful, but it felt like it, and feelings are real. And be able to put a word to it, I'm like, wow, that felt disrespectful. I know you don't mean to be disrespectful. Transformed how we communicate. But learning for me to be quick, because I never saw this demonstrated at home. Martha grew up in a household with very, never yelling, ever. I grew up in a household full of yelling. Germans and Italians. They're still yelling at each other.
And the great
71 marriage, the Germans and Italians still fighting. Oh yeah, even the countries are still fighting, I think. When we learned to be very quick to say, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me. That really quickly just stop and then pray and then start over. That's a game changer for us because we have literally, for everybody listening, for those people that are on and those that are going to tune in, Martha and I met at 16. We both had just turned 16. We became fast friends. She dated all of my friends.
I wanted to stay close to him, so
He just did it for his friends.
She dated all of my friends. She was new to town. She dated all of my friends. In fact, she was dating one of my friends when she moved to town. She dated all my friends but one. Thank God she never dated that one, but she wanted to. But we were already doing a lot of youth group ministry together. And at 17, we started doing youth ministry together to the junior hires. When we were in high school, we planned an event together as friends. There was a prom alternative. And both of us were going stag because she had a boyfriend. She was dating another one of my friends. I had a girlfriend. I was dating somebody who was one of her friends. And we decided one of my friends said, you guys should go together. I'm like, well, that's an interesting.
You dated everybody else.
Yeah, Martha's mom had called my mom and
not
said,
sound like a very good girl.
Oh,
I'm
no.
a very good girl.
She was still. Just to keep in mind, Martha was one of those ones where she said, let's just be friends. She meant it because all of those boys she dated were in our wedding because they were my friends and they still didn't mind being around Martha. So, and Martha's mom did call and say, hey, Jim dates all these other girls. Why won't he date Martha? So anyway, that night we did that prom alternative on May the 11th, 1984. That was our first date. And I knew that night we were going to get married. And I came up the next morning. I was 17. Freak my mother. If you want to freak your mother out, come up when you're 17 years old and say the next morning, I'm going to marry Martha. And 2 years later, we got married. And we did youth events. We hauled 20 kids to Washington, D.C. when we were 18 years old for a youth congress, 85. We've done nothing. We have done everything together, except for there was a 10-year period we didn't work together during the day. We still did a lot of stuff at night together, ministry stuff. We've really spent our lives together. We're best friends.
I don't even want to say, Jim. Yeah, Martha is a good girl. That's like, all right.
It's because you dated all my friends.
But so tell me, you guys have spent so since dating to now, how many years has it been?
43 years we've been best
43
friends.
years. So secret to great teamwork.
Yeah, have you guys ever had a fight ever in your life in the 43 years?
Oh, almost daily. Let's just be honest. So,
I'm got the German and Italian always fighting in my head. She grew up Swedish and Norwegian.
Oh, so
but
They don't ever argue. They don't ever deal with conflict. So we had to figure out the Germans and Italians come together with the Swedes and the Norwegians, and you have to figure out how do you work through conflict.
okay. So let me talk. So yes, teamwork, multiple things. Over the years, we have done things like the DISC tests and strength finders and things to really love and respect, very much about understanding who each other is and how God created us and trying to celebrate that and say, okay, how can we work well together? I do tell people, when they say I couldn't imagine working with my husband full time, I can't imagine marrying somebody that I couldn't work with full time. And that's just a different perspective. But I can't imagine, that doesn't mean I have to, but I am grateful that we get to, and we get to be headed the same direction on the same trajectory with God. But there have been times where that has looked different. But honoring each other and knowing that we have each other's best interest in mind and that we are essentially good-willed people. And so if we don't agree on something, most of the time we sit back and say, okay, we can't both be right. So what is right, and where do we go from there? And really trying to figure that out, and waking up every day and saying, Lord, it's your day. We have things planned, but you need to direct our steps. And sometimes that means it shifts and changes a little bit, and giving each other that grace along the way are just some of the things that I think of. And we tell people, prayer is the secret sauce, and not as though we're rubbing a lantern to get answers, but surrendering to God's plan and not our own, which for agenda-driven people has to be a priority, or you'll screw it up all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we get so stuck in our agenda that it just takes over, and then that's what also creates conflict too. So I think it's great to be able to surrender that agenda, especially when you're both on the same page about ultimately surrendering it to the Lord, because then it's a third party. You're not conflicting against each other, but it's like, no, really, what are we supposed to do?
And there's lots of different kinds of conflict though, Robert. Some conflict is caused because you're hungry or you're exhausted.
You're hangry.
That's stupid. That's stupid conflict. That's conflict that has no basis in reality at all. You're just being an idiot. Okay. I mean, there's that kind of, that's not really significant conflict. That's like, go to bed, get some sleep, or eat. And then there's the conflict where you look at a situation and you're both seeing different directions.
We had a hangry moment in our road trip. Not the one when we saw you, but when we launched our book in 2022. We drove around the country for 6 weeks, and so we stopped at the gas station, and then I see Kaylee picking up a Snicker bar, not one, but two. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm thinking, what are you planning? Because like she doesn't eat candy, number one, normally, but she will like on a road trip, like if she has to drive and just get some sugar and to stay awake. Yep. But then she got two, and I was like, huh.
As we were out in the middle of nowhere, and Robert asked me to drive, which he had done most all of the driving. And so I said, oh, okay. So I'm preparing myself. We're at a liquor store. So I figured now's the time to get my 2 Snicker bars. And don't judge me, but sometimes you just need fake energy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I'm eating the Snicker bar, and I thought I'm going to get a backup because, we're out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, where we're going to end up and if I might need it. I have it. So I'm driving, and then I hear Robert in the back seat.
I was in the back seat.
Well, you grabbed from the back seat from the cooler.
Oh, yeah.
He's eating my Snicker bar.
Just one of, and it was 2 bars in a package. So there's technically 4 pieces, and I just had one piece. And she looks at me like, "Are you eating my Snicker bar?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's so upset. And we're quiet for a while. And I'm sitting there going, "Are you gonna be mad at me for this?" Because we could stop.
Because I'm like, there's nothing else.
Look at your taste. Stuff.
Well, the Lord had told me before that trip, he's like, you know what? You can have a good time if you want. And what did he say? It's up to you whether you have a good time or not. And so I'm like, okay, I better get over this pretty quickly here. I better be okay with it because, when you're on a road trip for 6 weeks and you're also sleeping with the same person, you don't want to stay upset for too long.
In
So,
light of eternity, half a Snickers bar is pretty small.
Yes.
Really? So, but what we have a couple of things on real conflict. So when we both say we're in a situation, we both see things completely different. Obviously, you both can't be right. You can both be wrong, but you can't both be right. And just learning to work through that. And again, if you're hangry or you're tired, then you shouldn't try to work through it. We try never to have serious conversations after 9 o'clock at night because it never goes well. But the other thing we've really learned is that when I have a tremendous amount of respect for women's intuition, because women's intuition, whether women are believers or not, is a gift that God has given a woman.
Mhm.
That they hear the voice of God clearly, that men do not. Period. End of story. Nobody can argue with me. Just shut up if you even think about it. If you're a guy and you think you can hear God's voice like a woman can, you're an idiot because you can't. Women hear things. They know things that they have no reason to know except for that God has prompted them, whether they're believers or not. And when Martha says, maybe we should do this, I'm like, okay. We've learned to get to that spot for the most part. 90% of the time, we're like, okay, because if you're thinking it, we should do that.
Yeah.
Because where'd that come from?
Yep.
Because instead of just arguing about it, I'm like, I've got to learn to respect that because we're almost 60. Next year we'll be 60. Oh my word. I can't believe that.
You
And
just
if we're
said
gonna,
that
Martha's
publicly.
parents, I did. It's just so terrible. But Martha's parents and my parents all have lived to be in their 90s. So we've got another 30 years of marriage ahead of us. I got to learn how to just get that out of the way. It's like, okay, if God's saying it to you now, let's go. Because we want to run with the Lord as long as we can. And we don't need to argue about silly things. If the Lord's telling you to do something, we just need to say, okay.
Yeah, I learned. That's a good word, Jim, because I learned that a little while ago, too. And usually through hard lessons, and you figure out it's like, oh, whenever Kaylee has a feeling, maybe I should listen, because when I didn't, it costs us a lot of money. So when it costs you a lot of money, you start going, huh.
And most of the time when we resist something, it's because of pride.
Yeah.
And so really it's about assessing yourself and saying, why would I argue with this? What is it worth arguing about? Or even just disagreeing or talking back or creating tension. I am the kind of person that even just silly pushback gives me angst because I'm just, why would you? Our pastor, the week that we decided to stay home and watch the sermon online, he talked about a book that he had just read he had a sabbatical. And it was not a Christian book, but it was this whole idea behind let them. And it was like, if someone is doing something that maybe irritates you, but it really isn't life shattering, it doesn't really affect you, just let them. Let them do their thing if it's not really affecting you or against your principles. So just that, it's like, don't create tension where there doesn't need to be any, because there's plenty of other tension that you really need to deal with. So figuring out how to balance that.
Yeah, that's a good word, Martha. We're gonna end with that one, because that's just, at the end of the day, we're husband and wife. We're teammates, whether you work in business or not. We're still teammates. We're husband and wife. We're teammates, friends, and sometimes we just can't sort the small stuff. I think we make some of the biggest arguments sometimes are really some of the stupidest things we've ever talked
Yes.
about. When you're like, what are we arguing about, right? And so it's nice to
Like a
have a
Snickers bar.
pause, like Snickers bar. It's nice to have a pause, take it to the Lord, take some time, pause. But anyways, Jim and Martha, thank you again for coming on Thriving in Tandem, and you guys are always such a blessing to us. And you guys are always in our morning prayers.
We
And so
appreciate that so
you know,
much.
hopefully see you soon. Well, I know we'll see you next year for sure in Orlando. So thank you for listening to Thriving in Tandem. And I know you're blessed because you're still listening. So please share this with another married entrepreneur who needs to hear this, because they'll be blessed too. So until next week, God bless. Thank you for listening to the Thriving in Tandem podcast. Please visit our website, marriedentrepreneur.co, for a variety of free resources to help your marriage and business succeed.
And feel free to leave us a review and share this episode with another married entrepreneur. That would mean so much to us.
See you next week.